All right, guys. So it's been a very, very long time since I got to touch base with you in this way. We're talking about silver today, and we're talking about, just to start out with, Wall Street Silver, close to 100,000 silverbacks in this thing, man. It is insane. The last time I looked at Wall Street Silver, it was roughly around 78,000, 79,000, and that was about a week and a half ago. During that time, I actually got married. So that's also one of the reasons why videos have been kind of sparse recently, and I had to kind of schedule some out. But the reason why I find this interesting is because if you take a look at Google and Google Trends, as far as terms are concerned, Wall Street Silver, since the start of May or the end of April, really has, as its search term, has actually been falling a bit. And that has not stopped people joining the subreddit here. Again, we're getting close to 100,000 silverbacks, and it hasn't stopped the price from escalating. As you can see here, scrolling all the way back, if we take a look at some of the timing of this here, basically since March, we had the development of a double bottom. And ever since that double bottom hit, we start to see the price of silver go up and up and up. We saw the 20-day moving average edge up past the 60-day moving average, which is a nice bullish sign. We're starting to see a little bit of consolidation here as we've been kind of playing, kind of been towing the line a little bit at the $28 level. But in my opinion, if things start to consolidate a little bit more right now, it won't stop silver from its upward bound. Now, why do I say that? Well, it's not just me saying, hey, inflation is a big part of the story. COSTCO, a consumer staple that everyone loves, that everyone shops at, they are seeing inflation. And there are a couple of key terms in this article written by Jeff Fox that I want to key in on, because it reminds me of how some people may talk directly to people like us who like gold and silver right now, because there's always this, there's always kind of brushing aside of, well, hey, inflation isn't really, abounding as much. But take a look here. Don't tell Costco executives that inflation is low. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound like, when people try to take jabs at, people like gold and silver stackers, and they say, hey, don't tell these guys inflation is low. They're the crazies. But hey, take a look here. Costco executives are seeing it, and consumers are likely feeling it right now. So let's continue this article. The big box club chain said it's been seeing accelerating prices across a range of products, including shipping containers, aluminum foil, and a 20% spike in meat prices over the past month. Here's what CFO said. The CFO, Richard Galanti, said, inflationary factors abound. He said this regarding the third quarter earnings call. And this is a little bit more of what he had to say. These include higher labor costs, higher freight costs. Actually, let me stop right there. Remember, we did a video a couple of weeks ago about how higher labor costs will eventually trickle down into consumer products and the prices that affect them. There's actually some data that shows that correlation, and even mainstream organizations have seen that link. So I know that some people might say, well, hey, if you raise the cost of labor, that won't impact prices. People just raise prices indiscriminately. That's not the case. If you run a business, you don't just raise prices indiscriminately when the market tells you that prices should be lower. Let's continue. These include higher labor costs, higher freight costs, higher transportation demand, along with the container shortage and port delays, increased demand in various product categories, some shortages, various shortages of everything from chips to oils and chemical supplies by facilities hit by the Gulf freeze and storms, in some cases, higher commodity prices. And let's keep going down here. I don't want to read everything here, but take a look at this. Economists largely see the current spate of inflation. One closely followed gauge released Friday estimated the annual pace at 3.1% as temporary. Now, I think this is the bit here that a lot of people are still kind of, you know, there's a lot of argument here. Is it temporary? Is it going to last? Well, in my opinion, I'm more of a guy who lends himself more towards the quantity theory of money, where when you see the rise of the money stock, and you start to see a rise in the velocity of currency, you're going to have domestic inflation rise. Now, of course, there's going to be these supply and demand effects that, of course, might have a temporary spike and shock in prices. Let's continue here. They list many of the same factors as Costco executives, mainly a string of supply chain issues that have caused spikes in products core to the U.S. economy and household consumption. So that's just what I mentioned just now. Galanti cited price increases as high as 8% in cited goods, including pulp and paper, an assortment of plastic products, as well as soda and cheese. Some apparel items saw price hikes of 3% to 10%. Overall, he said the company has gone from seeing inflation in the 1% to 1.5% range in March to 2.5% to 3.5% today, which is drastic. So guys, here's the thing. If you believe that our current or the current inflationary pressures are temporary, or if you believe that it's not temporary, it's not a supply chain issue, it's something much deeper than that, here's the thing. Both will be a benefit to silver prices. So you don't even need to argue with yourself or anyone else about that too much. They're both going to be a beneficiary of, or silver is going to be a beneficiary of either story. Now, the question remains, if you're in this on the short term, when do you sell? If you're in this for the short term. Now, for me, I have a bit that's going to be for the long term. I do have a bit that I want to maybe lighten up on the short term if I start to see rates rising. So for me, that's my hint. If I start to see the Fed talking about, hey, we're going to start raising rates soon, I might start selling a little bit and taking some risk off the table with some of my silver and gold positions. Just for general risk management. But guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. It's great to be back and talking to you guys again. Thanks again for watching. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you're new. It's Black Bullion for goldandsilvertoday.com.